Ask, and the door will be opened for you. May it be so. There was a door in my childhood room, a door to mystery, I was certain. It was a door to the beyond. At times it was a door to monsters, and at others a door to the fairyland. It was a small door. Even as a child, I would have to crawl into that crawl space. Choosing that door was like choosing an alternate journey. Unlike the door to my room, which led into my home, or the door to our house, which simply led into the wider world, this door led deeper into the cavern of light and life that was mine, that was just me. To go in through that liminal passageway was to choose the inward journey. That was the metaphor for me as a child. Knock and the door will be open for you. And it was, and it led to darkness and fiberglass insulation peeling from the walls. It was a mess of a space. But it was a space where I could crawl in and hear myself breathe in and breathe out and be in the darkness at peace. Says our poet, while some doors lead to cathedrals arching up overhead like stormy skies, and some to sumptuous auditoriums, and some to caves of nuclear monsters, most just yield a bathroom or a closet. So let's make use of them when we find them. This door led to a closet, but still our poet allows the experience is of passage. Walking through that door is making the choice to transcend, to go somewhere else. Ask and the door will be open for you. Right, Reverend Scott?
From chaos to control. From spycraft to the sublime. Doors, magical or real, can open from dark into light, known into strange, even into the wilderness of self. Knock and the door will be open. I love patterns and circles and rhythms. I love singing in rounds, the song spiraling as we go around. I imagine each time we begin the song from the top, it's like stepping through a door, a chance to live it again but in a different way, and maybe for me to actually sing it right this time. All of life we experience circles and cycles. The seasons, the school or the congregational year, holidays, the circulation of blood, the very rhythm of our breath. All our circles, our cycles, travel, however, on more than one plane. Some of them travel through distance and through time. Imagine, if you will, there's a spiral staircase, and I'm starting way up there in the rafters. descending this spiral staircase, each time I look out, I will see vantage points that will reappear as I keep circling around the spiral staircase. And as I come back to face each direction anew, the view will be similar but not exactly the same. I will be higher or lower. My frame of vision will be marked by the tread above and the tread below. There may be a landing with doors or more doors. Even if the staircase for some reason has its axis a little tilted, my vantage point will seem oddly familiar as I circle around the spiral. So can we become aware of this vertical dimension, the upwards or downwards or through time, while we're traveling in what seems to us in the moment as a simple circle? Because we're actually on a spiral. Now consider this vertical dimension. This is the one that so many spiritual seekers and mystics claim is that axis that connects our innermost self with the divine. It courts our exploration as we seek both divine inspiration and inner knowledge. There's more knowledge about ultimate reality, that presence that tells us what God is and God is not, than any of us could ever know. So imagine that all of us, everyone who's ever lived, is on some massive spiral staircase. And we're all looking out, completely enveloped by the divine presence, by ultimate reality. Each of us has a unique glimpse of it, and our unique glimpse alone. We have it filtered through those lenses of who we are, of what we love, why we're searching, what we need. This is why it is so precious for us to share what we encounter on those journeys. Because what you and you and you and you see is not what I see. And so you enrich and enliven me by sharing what you're seeing on that spiral staircase. And now, if you will, I'd like you to consider another spiral staircase image, but this one is wider. And this time we're looking inwards. It's a little bit like the Guggenheim, is how I imagine it. And so now we're walking around, but we're looking inwards. We're looking inwards toward the self, towards our self, trying to find that place where our self is one and the same with the divine presence. And of course, it's just like the other spiral staircase. Every place we are in a snapshot shows us only a portion in that glimpse. And every time we look again, we'll see a different aspect of ourselves. Every time we look again, we will be framed by something different, pressing on us from within or from without. Sometimes we may not be looking at all. This is why the search for inner knowledge is such a lifelong journey. So the spiral reflects the double helix of the DNA string. That beautiful molecule that codes all of our precious uniqueness. We climb this spiral, seeking all of our days, no matter how much or little we are aware of it in each moment, searching for truth of what is within and what is without, of what God is and is not. This inward journey is a series of doors that open into more doors, spiraling to that core where our truest self lies, a place where mystically our self and the divine coexist. So climb, travel slowly, drink in the vision, remember, climb some more.
And we're going to journey today to 3 different doors, 3 different places to pause on that spiral staircase. These are all about the inward journey. We pause at each vantage, at each door, and we ask that question that comes out throughout all of our lives. The question, who am I? Who am I? The door in this landing is a mirrored door, and the space is filled with the personal. At this vantage, we study ourselves as a discrete being, contained in a discrete life. We see a unique self and asking, who am I? We study the contours of our form, the strange qualities of our thoughts, the drives that yield our decisions, and the affections that claim our love. The Unitarian tradition pauses here at many points to contemplate. The great 19th century Unitarian Reverend William Ellery Channing preached, salvation was found by character. He preached that our sacred work was to carve this form, this discrete self, into something more perfect, more capable of channeling holiness and grace. And before Channing, the 16th century Unitarian martyr Servetus gave his life for the sake of his character. Certain that conscience was the only path to divine truth, Servetus argued for the right to a personal profession of faith. As the flames of Calvin's pyre engulfed him, Servetus proclaimed his Unitarian truth. When Servetus asked the question, who am I? His answer was, I am my belief. When Channing asked the question, who am I? His answer was, I am my character. What are the challenges here at this door of perception? You might have guessed them. They can swallow us whole if we allow them to. Focusing first and so thoroughly on our discrete self, we can suffer isolation and disconnection, and to the extreme, arrogance and self-righteousness. None of the doors of perception, the doors that we take on our inner journey, are enough alone. This next door may not seem to be an answer to that question, who am I? But it is. Here we ask, who am I? Who am I in relation to and with all that is? Here we study our relationships, our accountability, what we love, whom we harbor, and how we are called. This is the door of our Universalist tradition. It's the door that tradition asks us to open. Many of our Universalist forebears were abolitionists, and they looked upon that calling not as a means to save others, but to ultimately save everyone, including themselves. As William Lloyd Garrison said, enslave the liberty of what one human being and the liberties of the world are put in peril. Universalist salvation is both personal and social. It is a salvation that happens here on earth when we commit to building Eden together. We come to know ourselves only when the walls between our wants and the wants of our neighbor dissolve. When we know that none of us is free if one of us is still in chains. Here at this door we answer, I am who I am because you are who you are, and ultimately and forever we are in this together. What are the pitfalls here? Because there are even pitfalls here, and you might know them because you feel them. This is a place where we Unitarian Universalists often get caught up. At this door of perception, there's a tendency to lose ourselves in the service of others, indulging in self-sacrifice, forgetting to care for ourselves or our family while we serve others. And then here is this last door. Let me tell you a bit about this door. At least how it felt for me the first time I literally tripped upon it. I was in an old factory-style workspace on a tour, walking with a group of people. but I had slowed and fallen behind. I was captivated by the dust and the age of the space, by the old wooden benches and the heavy metal instruments. Really my favorite kind of place. Then, on turning a corner, I saw before me, right before me, a startled person who came to an abrupt stop. "I'm sorry," I said, and then I stepped back, watching as the person in front of me stepped back too. Then came the realization. The person I was seeing, the one I was talking to, was myself. I was looking in a mirror. I had truly lost myself in that factory. I felt a twinge of bliss followed by a landslide of fear. I had for a moment lost that who am I as a discrete person. And if that was possible, then perhaps who am I as a self, as an ego, could ultimately disappear. I felt the same way when I was first looking into the book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying and studying that Buddhist faith. That text was asking me to surrender my ego, to completely let go of my sense of individuality, that I was separate. I chose instead to surrender the text. I wasn't ready for that yet. That's when I was a teenager. I've since picked the book back up and I'm studying again because I found that there is also incredible peace in letting go of the distance between myself and all that is. This is the door of the inward journey that opens in and out, the place of discovery where the distinctness of self and other disappears completely. When we ask the question, who am I, and hear in return, well, you are a part of all that is, and all that is a part of you. The ancient Hindus in the Rig Veda called this reality Brahman, the selfless, transcendent, ultimate reality. Jung called it the dissolution of ego. Reverend Scott called it the enveloping divine presence glimpsed on our spiral-shaped quest. And it can be as frightening as death or as enlightening as faith. Because here we don't know who we are, and for that, we're satisfied. It's not lost on me that this congregation has 11 exterior doors and countless interior ones. Have you ever tried to find all of them? Have you walked through all of them? I've served here for 2 years now, and I haven't walked through half of them. There's even one, it is this adorable little door that was hidden behind a bookshelf that I think is a special door for children to walk into one of the classrooms. Go find it. It's really a wonder to see. It's this teeny tiny little door. It's either that or it was created for the first minister who happened to be an elf. I don't know. So 11 exterior doors and countless interior ones. I think there's a metaphor here. Perhaps there are more doors for us to walk into and through in service to our faith and our understanding of ourselves. Amen. May it be so.